All right, so recently, as I would say most people by now know, there were nerfs in Etheria Restart and two different sets of nerfs, and I do have to talk about it. I was away while this was all happening, actually, at least for the Shadow Sonya part. I mean, I think from here to here, all these videos were recorded on the same day. You could see there's a gap because I was away for 3 days. I thought I would record over there. I did not end up doing that because I was detached from the online sphere, so I had no idea what was going on. And then I come back and I see all this, and I had to kind of gather my thoughts because I don't think pushing these videos out right away is good. However, I think now is the time after Holden, especially with what they did to technically the Veronica buff. I think technically it would be yesterday or today. I don't know when exactly the time frame was. But there's different nerfs, sorry, not buff, different nerfs that happened. And I want to give my thoughts and probably what they should do, okay? So I'm not trying to be negative because I love this game, dude. This is pretty much my dream game. I mean, as you guys know, I started off as a Black Clover mobile channel. I mean, if we check it out, Black Clover Mobile, I have over 1,000 videos on it, 1,200. And this game is just like Black Clover Mobile, but better, if you really think about it. It just has everything that I want in a game, and I think it's a fucking amazing game. It really is. Now, with all that said, we need to give kind of solutions to what the devs should probably do, because I don't think staying silent is the way for them to go. Especially when I get comments on my Holden video being like, don't even build because he's going to get nerfed, right? So that's the kind of sentiment that people have, believing that because they've nerfed Shadow Sonya technically and her viability, that others will be nerfed, right? And that's definitely not a way for it to go forward. Now, Shadow Sonya is pretty much I think the main way that people are doing Terror next to Chloros, right? Terror is really just either Shadow Sonya and Fangus or Chloros, right? And Shadow Sonya is great. However, Shadow Sonya was used in Aurora. If we check Hell 4, we could probably see some remnants of it. I don't know if they would still show. No, I guess they wouldn't. But before, it was pretty much dominated by Shadow Sonyas. Wherever like the cut is, I don't know, right? It was basically dominated by Shadow Sonyas. But then when we go in now, they basically did a fix, right? They did a fix, as they like to say, and I'll give a bit of reasoning behind it, to where now you cannot actually put dots on them, right? And why is this a problem? Well, because in the third beta, the final beta, I think it's the third, they allowed dots, right? So I'm pretty sure they brought that over. I would like to say, please correct me if I'm wrong. But to my understanding, the logic behind this was that basically one of the betas did have the dot immunity, and I guess they forgot it in the last beta, and it kind of stayed that way, right? And forgot, right? I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but do we know? I'm not sure, but I'm not going to accuse them of anything, right? I just know that one of the betas did have the dot immunity, but then it does seem like they kind of either forgot or just didn't place it, and then now they did place it, right? So maybe it was a bug that it wasn't there in the final beta. We don't know. However, that falls entirely on them for not putting the dot immunity earlier, because then people built their Fangus, people built their Sonya if they had them, and then what do they do afterwards, right? That's the main thing. So it was kind of ass when you consider that Sonya didn't have many uses, so her being able to be used in Aurora was really nice. Now, my problem lies with this. What is the big thing that I kind of don't like? It's that especially for the first server, there's no more event reconfigurations, right? So you can't really do anything about that, right? And I think that really is unfortunate and something they might need to like kind of change, because even without this, I think it only highlighted the fact we needed like kind of frequent reconfigurations, like maybe I would say 2 a month, right? They should give you guys, everyone, 2 free reconfigurations a month. Personally, I would be happy with that. If they did that, I would be happy. However, they should probably also give some extra compensation just in general because of this, because even if they put it as a bug, people will see it that it is a nerf, because technically it is a nerf to Sonya. She isn't valuable anymore in Aurora, so it's a big nerf if you really think about it. And people did put their time into this, right? People put their time into building Sonia. They got maybe some dark mats up. Maybe they wanted some extra HP on Sonia, even if she doesn't really need much, right? I'm pretty sure this is all she needed. But then what about Fangus, right? What about Fangus? What if you got your Fangus up and you're fine for Terror with Chloros, but then you got Fangus up? Where is Fangus? I actually don't know where he is. What if you got... Where the fuck is he, dude? What? I actually... One sec. What if you got your Fangus up? What if you put all your prowess into it? That must have taken a lot of time. And then in that case, you reconfigure, right? Let's say you had the reconfiguration. Well, there might not be another red unit that you have on your account if you're free to play, right? And that's where it kind of comes in with the problem, right? Now, besides that, what they also decided to do was change Soul Ward because of Hoyen. So they gave it a little nerf before Hoyen came out, which is a bit unfortunate because not only is Soul Ward not on only on Hoyen, it's on Veronica. Now, what did they change? Well, before, it just said HP will not drop below 1 point, but then now they also added, and the duration of this effect cannot be extended. Now, the thing is with the Veronica one is that people are still using her to clear. However, they do need Codex for sure now. But yeah, no, like, it's not that important, this one, but is it a nerf? Yes, because Soul Ward cannot be extended anymore, right? But like people are still clearing with Veronica, so it's not the biggest, but does it need to be mentioned? Of course it does, right? Veronica is definitely someone with not many uses, so it's once again a thing. The same as Shadow Sonia, same as Fangus. When a unit doesn't have many uses, I don't think they should be doing this post-launch, right? Now, it does seem that if they put it as a bug and like they're allowed to get away, we'll say, they're allowed to go through and do some nerfs, which is fine. I'm actually fine with it. I enjoy seeing the balance shift a bit, but by that nature, we should maybe also get buffs for some weaker units, right? If you're gonna nerf some, well, buff some. Why not, right? I don't see why you can't. I don't see why we couldn't do that, because if we're gonna be lowering the value of some, we should also be able to increase. Now, what should they do? Well, I think first of all, they need to add an implementation where every month you are allowed to get 2 reconfigurations. Bare minimum, if they do that, for me, it's AW. Okay, I'm just going to say I'm not really that picky. As long as we get 2 reconfigurations, in general, I wanted that, right? But for every unit they nerf, they should allow, maybe what they do is, okay, we'll do this instead. You're allowed 1 reconfiguration a month. And then if a unit does get changed to where they have less viability in something or more, well, only less mainly, then that specific unit like Veronica or Shadow Sonia or Fangus, you're allowed to reconfigure them for free. I think that's what they should do. I don't think that's crazy. Get the reconfiguration in and then you're fine, right? I really think that would be the best course of action. Any unit that is changed for whatever reason, you should be allowed to reconfigure. I'm fully of that opinion. I think it makes sense because that's 3 units that have lost at least some value. Now it brings up the next thing. They should probably give more than that. I would say, especially since there is a new banner, maybe just give like 10 or 20 pulls for these units. I don't think it would be that big of a deal, but you know, I'm not really going to press on that fact. But besides that, I think the biggest problem is that literally I think people are fair in their fear that, okay, what happens if dieting, Valerian, like Dinah, right? What happens if these types of units also lower their value or won't be as useful anymore? What happens in those instances, right? If Shadow Sonia cannot use dots in Aurora, what's going to happen, right? If either maybe he gets an actual nerf, or if a boss somehow like out of nowhere cannot crit, right? What's gonna happen then, right? Because like then dieting all of a sudden in the same boss if he can't crit is gonna be a lot worse. So that's kind of just an example, but I did see people actually scared that like, okay, don't even summon for Holden, he's gonna get nerfed, right? So if people are thinking that, I think they do have to do something. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? I do have a lot of trust in this company. But the biggest thing is that they prided themselves on kind of listening to feedback and then went the opposite way and are not saying anything in its complete radio silence. And it's going to be a buzzkill for a lot of people. So they have to address the situation probably in the next couple of days. I think that people are on maybe a high for Holden and Hoyen. And honestly, I really like both designs. They are very cool designs and that's great. However, if you go to the Discord, all people are talking about is the nerf. So that's all I wanted to say. give us reconfigurations, allow you to give us one monthly reconfiguration, allow you to reconfigure the units that were adjusted for free, no matter what the case is, and then also give us maybe a bit of extra currency, materials, whatever it is, as an apology, and I'd be happy. I don't think I'm asking for the world. I think what I'm asking for is pretty logical. I feel like that's pretty much it. But in general, if you're gonna build the reputation off of player feedback, just continue it, right? I think people will be very happy with you, and if anything, you're just gonna get a free devs listen moment once again. If they're gonna address the gender ratio, I think that they should definitely address something like this instead, because of how big it's growing, right? I don't think everyone cares, but when a portion, right, it's mainly that small portion, or maybe even a big portion, I'm not sure, but I did get a couple comments just not wanting to build, holding up, or not even wanting to pull him. Because what if he gets nerfed because he's really good, right? What if the next SR that we're gonna get, which I think they showed one of the SRs, like what if he gets nerfed when he comes out, right? So just don't bring it to that situation. I think that's the main problem people are having. If you bring reconfigurations, then I think it's fine, honestly. I think that's really it. It's just that no more reconfigurations exist, so it kind of sucks. But besides that, honestly, like it's not a super big deal, I think, because Sonia and Fangus still work in Terror, but losing value kind of sucks because the main thing is that you use Shadow Sonia in Terror if you don't really have Chloros. But what if you have Chloros, then it's like now your Shadow Sonia is overall not as good. But of course, remember, keep in mind, it works in Terror, and then also I think it's Nico Nana. If we go to Inferno, Sonia is amazing here. So you have to keep in mind, Sonia is still very good. It's just a loss in value for no apparent reason, right? For the players, right? So that's the main thing. So I'm going to leave it off there. Let me know what you think down below. I really think that it would be good if like all creators look at this in a constructive manner. Don't go hating the devs, but at the same time, don't cut them too much slack, because at that point, they might get away with too much. And I think that for us to get a good game, we're just going to need them to address this, give us maybe a couple of reconfigurations, and maybe a bit of a compensation, and then we'll be good. So I think that if more people start talking about it, maybe we'll be able to get something out of the devs, and I'm pretty excited for that. I do enjoy these types of things, just talking about matters like this, but at the same time, I do think this is honestly pretty important. I didn't really talk about it sooner, like I said. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, listen, guys, I was literally in, I wasn't at home, I was in a different province, so not much I could do about that, but I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Bye-bye.